Okay, so today I'm going to be working on this GP35. It's an Athern GP35, and I got this on eBay. It wasn't very expensive, however, it had been painted gray. It was a terrible paint job. There was overspray on one side, not enough on the other side, but overall, the drive system, which is a blue box, was actually in good shape. And after I took the paint off, the body is also in really good shape. Other than there's a handrail missing on one side. And so that's going to be part of what I'm going to repair. I'm going to show you how to make a new handrail out of household stuff, and I'm also going to replace the horn. Sometimes I'll get extra parts from an eBay seller called So Much Stuff. I'll have, before I order, I'll have 2, 3, 4 engines I want to work on, and I order a whole bunch of parts to save on shipping. The cost of the parts is not too bad. So go have a look at what he's got. You get exactly what you ordered. That guy knows his stuff. So to make my handrail, I'm going to use this. This is telephone wire. It's copper. You could use piano wire or guitar wires to get the right dimension, but this is what I had around the house that I could use, so I'm going to use that. It's going to be the right diameter. The engine also came with its own glass, which was painted gray because they didn't take it out before they painted it. I was able to get the paint off, very lucky. So this will make a nice engine. Like I said before, most of my trains are N scale. This is HO scale, so it's ginormous to me. So let's get started. I'm going to take the shell off, and I'll start repairing all the handrails. This drive is perfect. It won't rival the new Athern Genesis. The body either, it won't have as much detail, but it's still going to be fun to run. So I don't know if you noticed, but some of my handrails, they become loose and they flop around. A lot of these blue boxes did that. The handrails can move around and they become crooked. So I'm not going to be too shy about this. I'm just going to put some crazy glue on that to stop it from moving around. And then we'll start working on that missing one. So I put just a little dab of glue on each stanchion. So that will keep them in their place while I work on this side and I make the missing handrail. Keep your stuff organized as you disassemble your locomotive. It's easy to lose the small parts. Like I said before, I'm used to working on N scale, so this is really big. But still, you don't want to lose any parts. I took this apart, honestly, a year ago, and I put it aside. But I can get back to it, find all my parts, because I'm organized. Very important. So we're going to work on this side. And I'm going to start bending my wire to match the handrails that I want to replace. So I'm just going to start bending it slowly. I usually have a pair of pliers. Use these cutters here to show you. So I just bend it slowly. Like that. I like to start on this end and work my way up to the front, well, the back of the cab, as it turns out. So I use this other handrail as a guide, so I can bend it at the proper distance. So I'll hold the wire with my pliers, and then I'll bend it with my fingers. So in the best world, you would have an exact 90 degrees here, and the bend would be as sharp as possible. It's already starting to take shape. If you look at, I used the other one as a guide. This one, you can see it bends out a little bit. So I'm going to imitate that bend. Already starting to look much better. The next thing I'm going to do, there's a step here. So I'm going to make the bend that goes with this step. I've got another GP35 I could use as a model, but I think I can just wing it and still make it look pretty good. So there's the first step, and there's one last step just before you get to the cab. So I'll bend that right now. So now just one last bend to put it inside the hole in the cab. Then we'll start working on the stanchions. So I'm going to glue it together with some crazy glue. Now I've pre-cut all my stanchions. Here's what they look like. They're very simple. It's just one bend. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue at the bottom, and I'll set them up like this. Make sure they're straight. And then I'm going to have a little dab of glue right here. So that will, and after that, once the glue is dry, I'm going to come back and cut the extra portion here. So I'm going to do that. At first glance, this may look like a lot of work, but it's not really. It's I find an easy way to achieve the results I want. You could get a replacement handrails, I guess, but this I'm using just recycling household materials, and once it's painted it'll look convincing. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the extra portion here, my little pair of cutters, and then we'll be ready for painting. So I took a minute to install my horn. I didn't go too complicated, I just stacked it on there with some crazy glue. So now, just before I paint it, I'm going to wash it, just some regular soap and water and a regular old toothbrush. So I'll jump on that right now. So now we're doing the actual painting of it. This is the kind of paint I use. I get it from my hardware store. I give a very light coat. I actually just give it a little mist, just droplets. And I make sure I go all the way around. I take my time. There's time to do this. The paint doesn't dry right away, so it's not a race. The first coat I do, I just give it some droplets, and then when I come back and do my second pass, then I'll make sure the droplets touch each other. And also what I do, I make sure I do every angle, because you will see if there's an angle that didn't get painted, you will be seeing that. So now I've gone all around, I made my droplets. So I start at the beginning again. I'm painting my handrails at the same time. If I had maybe a choice, I would take them off, but for this project I have to keep them on. Now I make the droplets touch each other. That'll make the paint look shiny again. As soon as it looks shiny again, then I quit. That's all you need. To preserve the detail, you want to have as little paint as possible. So as soon as it looks shiny, I move on to the next section. There, that looks nice. So move on to the other side. So make sure I get the back side of the cab and the front side of the cab. So my handrails are all getting painted at the same time. So I did the engine from the front, because those fans, you want to get them from the front and from the back also. I'm doing the top of the engine, making sure I get every angle. This is going to be very shiny. So once it's shiny like this, I stop it, I leave it right there. So I let this sit for about 15 minutes. I'm going to do the same thing again and go and just put very small dots on it. So I want it to look almost flat black actually. So I'm going to go around, make sure I get every corner, make sure everything looks dotted and almost matte. That's once I've hit every side, I'm going to do the top. So the top two, I hit it from both sides. Just to make sure I get everything. And now I start over. Now I make it shiny. So once I do that, once it gets shiny on me, I'm going to be moving on to letting this dry for a full day. Let it dry at least 24 hours. In fact, I got to go to work tomorrow, so it's going to be 48 hours drying. The handrail was starting to look pretty good. In fact, I can't even remember which side was the one I did. I could never find that because it looks exactly like the other side. This is not a race. Take your time, make sure you're happy with the result before you move on to the other side. Oh yeah, that looks good. So the roof, I do it from both sides. So obviously I'll do more on the forward side when I'm on this side, and then I do more on the back side when I'm on this side. And then once you get to that point, make sure you don't touch it. So I took a couple of days to let this dry, and it's dry to the touch, but it's not really dry. There's still a lot of thinner in there. There's enough thinner to so that when I put my decals on, they'll stick very well to the paint. So I use micro scale. And there's an instruction sheet that comes with the decals, and it's a very good instruction sheet. I do more than one locomotives with them. So I've also got prototype pictures that I can use for information. You'll notice on the GP35 they didn't have the Penn Central here. Quite consistent. I've got 3 units that don't have it. So what I'll do is I'll select one and I'll cut up my decals before I get the water out, and we'll start putting on some decals. I'm going to show you a tip I developed for very small decals. You don't really need much water, you just need a drop, that's it. So because my fingers are too big, I manipulate it with a toothpick. The toothpick is very gentle. I'm just putting this F in front of the locomotive. Because I'm used to N scale, this stuff, HO scale, is ginormous. So I'm having a little fun with doing all these extra, extremely small details. And then when I've got it exactly where I want, I use a little Kleenex just to blot out the excess water. So I'm going to do a bigger decal now. Now I've got my bigger decal ready. You notice I always have my prototype picture close by so I know which door to put it on. So these, they're big enough that I can do it with my big fingers. Yeah, my handrails are in the way. But that's okay. You put a little bit of water on there just so it can slide, and then just let it slide in place, let the water work with it. I'm going to use my toothpick because my handrails are getting in my way. Just put a little bit more water on there so it's easy to slide. So on the prototype, it clears the latches for the hood doors. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to use the prototype as a guide. Just clear all the door hinges and latches as much as you can. And I'll come back with my Kleenex just to blot out the extra water. That's what it's for. And I'll let that dry for a little bit before I put on my dull coat. And then I'll move on to the next decals. And then when I'm ready for my dull coat, I'll show you that. So I took some regular yellow paint and I did the safety rail. I don't do them in N scale because the yellow paint makes them look bigger than they actually are. So I wanted to do them now. I'm ready for my dull coat now. So this is my end result. Pretty happy with the result. So basically I took someone's old junk and I turned it into something that's going to be fun to use around my layout. So there you go. Hope this was helpful to you. See you next time.